Okay, so how do I get a Christian worldview?
Yeah, from Scripture, right? We called it earlier biblical worldview.
Okay.
And so, again, it's allowing the Bible to inform us on how to answer these questions.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's
how I get it, reading the Bible.
Yeah, you can read the Bible, or, I mean, there's obviously a lot of books that have been written about worldviews and Christian worldviews, biblical worldviews. So you can follow, various apologists who speak about worldviews and what is a Christian worldview. And so whether it's individuals like Dr. William Lane Craig or Norman Geisler, or Josh or Sean McDowell, there's a lot of different apologists that speak about a worldview.
Okay.
And so that can be helpful to read what they're saying. And because a lot of times, for a lot of Christians, we've actually never sat down and thought about this before, right? I think we're going through life as Christians, and we have some of these basic answers, but we may not know that they're actually shaping how we live.
Okay.
And I do worry sometimes, for example, that some of the questions I think are obvious for Christians, right? How did we get here? Okay, God created, right? Obvious. The destiny one, the end.
Sure.
The destiny.
Don't say that at a party.
But so, destiny.
7 days, obviously. I mean, it says that in the thing.
Well, we can argue about the specifics, but
obviously,
but it is obvious that God created.
Yeah.
Okay, and so destiny, right? So there's an obvious answer to there: heaven or hell. Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so, but I think others.
Hold on.
Okay.
Some Christians have a third option.
Okay. Purgatory.
Yeah.
You're right. There is purgatory. But within purgatory, it is the known fact is that you're working your way to heaven.
Okay.
So, but then those are like more like very clear. We're consistent. I do fear that individuals don't actually know what meaning and purpose is within a Christian worldview. I do think a lot of people would say, well, as long as you're happy, or as long as I'm happy, and that becomes the meaning or the purpose of life, right?
Because my Christianity is supposed to make me happy?
Yeah, or somehow that is the ultimate gain, right?
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of crazy because, I mean,
that's stupid.
This dates all the way back to like Aristotle, who would say that, when Aristotle would say that happiness is the ultimate, for everyone.
Aristotle said that?
Yeah. And
I thought he was smart.
Well, he is in some things, but that's why you don't follow him all the way through.
Okay.
Yeah, when he starts, like when he's like, for example, like when I've taught rhetoric, that kind of thing, Aristotle speaks about the ideal of happiness, and that's ultimately what we're after. That's what actually everybody's after. And so,
well, obviously he was rich because he had all this time to write down all this smart stuff way back then. Yeah. So maybe that's why he thinks it's supposed to be happiness.
Maybe so. But reality is...
Probably wrong about everything I just said.
Well, he was a teacher, and so that's what he did. He taught, he lectured. So, but I think for, the biggest thing for me is like, no, Christians, it's not your happiness. That's not actually the ultimate ideal.
Okay.
And so it actually is to know God and to make him known, or to glorify God and to enjoy him forever. That's actually the ultimate good, the ultimate goal, if you were.
Okay.
Meaning, purpose. And then I think same thing for identity, right? I think this is actually a really big question to answer. For a long time, a lot of Christian apologists and a lot of Christian teachers would speak about the other four: the origin, the meaning, the morality, the destiny, as needing to answer those questions to form a really solid biblical worldview. And it's only been probably in the last 20 years that identity has become such a crucial part of that.
Right.
And like where we're actually wanting to know, well, what is our identity? Who are we? And I think that has also, unfortunately, not been established, rooted, grounded well within Scripture. And so,
what identity has?
Identity. I don't feel like identity has been established very well.
Okay.
Because I feel like, my identity, I'm a son of God. right? I'm a child. That's my identity.
Pastor, doctor.
Right, and that's kind of the point. Like, actually, my ultimate identity is not it's not what I do. It's not the fact that I'm a pastor. It's not the fact that or what I've gained. It's not the fact that I've got a doctorate, degree, and that's not. That doesn't form the center, the core of my identity. The core of my identity is I'm a son of God, and then from that point I can say, well, what does that mean to be a son, right? How does that play in the fact that how I'm accepted, how I'm loved, how by God, and that settles me in my identity. That I don't have to seek out an identity apart from Him, but rather right here with Him. And so anyway, so I do feel like that individuals, again, Christians, have not thought through all of these things probably as well as they could have or they should have. And so I do hope that individuals would seek out to learning more about a Christian worldview.